They say, no, you are, excommunicated and you are taken off. Who will? And they've used the law. Arabs, they still do that about Muslim. Even there, where the consequences are harsher, some of them, they still want to be slave queen, they still want to twerk. They've used many things, including imprisonment, sometimes violence against women so that they comply. Because if women have power, you give them power, you'll see flames. Sounds like supporting GDP. I'm not. I'm giving you examples of nations that have managed to keep their women in control. Women must be here. That's why Afrikaners, they were smart. Afrikaners, they empowered men. Yes, they were men who were reckless, drinking, family money. They made sure that men are empowered. If I'm a lawyer, I marry a clerk or somebody lower than me. If I'm a doctor, I marry a nurse. If I'm an MP, maybe I'll marry someone lower than me. Not the other way around, because women, they get tired. They are not meant to lead. Women are emotional. They get tired. Even if you marry Oprah, get tired because I've been supporting you, maintaining you. They get tired if she buys you a car, buys you a house, and then she'll abuse you. You'll see flame. People will know. So women, they just get bored sometimes. For no reason. They act on feelings, temporary feelings, and they make permanent decisions. That's why today, what used to be in the past, a normal squabble, lover's quarrel, it results into breakup now. It's a lover's quarrel, it's a breakup, it's ghosting, it's like, no contact, and then that's it. The relationship has ended. Because also you've got simps. These losers in politics, they've created a culture of simps. You post one picture, 10,000 hungry men, phone and say nice, and they want her to smash. And then she takes those 10,000 thinking that, it's value, and she wants to compare them now. And then years later, she comes back to you. Recently, I bumped into these women, and I attended a memorial service this week. I saw one. This woman didn't want a child. Pushing a career, there's nothing wrong with that, but people must know what biologically, they've got a time frame. When you get to 30s, you can use, the advances in medical science, but your chances are becoming narrow and now. You're gonna have to have a lot of money, to circumvent some of the problems. She was already saying, no, I don't want a child, we separated for whatever reason. She came back, she now has a child. She wants me to take her serious. Am I mad? As men, you don't want to push family line of another person. I have 3 of them that I know. And she wants me to take her serious. They want marriage. I've got 3. I want marriage. Why didn't you force a marriage to the very same guy that you gave a child? You chose to give the highest price that a woman can give to a man, a child, to a loser. And many of them, they do. Their first children, they come from losers because of the guy who drives a polo, who is funny, and all that fades with time. And then they want you. And I still believe that they never outgrow that, because women are something else. They want to fix, they want to conquer, they want challenges, they want a man who's going to give them challenges, they want stories to tell their toxic friends, which mine does this, I did that. If you don't give her something to report back to your toxic friends, it's like you're boring like Kaka, she will leave you. She must have something. Hey, this guy, he sleeps with me, like Beauty and the Beast, Nandipa and Bester, King Kong, Escape, King Kong. This woman falls in love with the King Kong. Like, now it's happening. Back in the days, beautiful women didn't just fall for gorillas. Now it's easy. All women are easy. All relationships are transactional. Look, in context, relationships are transactional in a sense that I want something. I want to continue my gene, generation. You offer me something, now I offer you something. I offer you protection, I offer you support. Now I can't even, offer it, because women have been elevated. When you elevate them, I don't want a child, I don't want you, I don't want a man. Some of them, they say all men must be done away with, But now, other than that transactional, we've gone into higher mode, prostitution. Prostitution is when you pay for sex. When you pay for sex, all relationships, before you could date, people, they've lost their virginity because somebody took you to want a babe. Somebody took you to lose virginity because somebody, just a minor 600 rand. A minor allowance, like 2,000, 5,000, and that person can do more. Short, I'm on sex tapes, I'm on Instagram, showing bums, developing yourself, and you want exclusivity. There are certain things that all women want, productivity. There are certain things, no matter what feminists do. But nowadays, all women are easy, beautiful or not beautiful. As long as a guy is money. Friend, friend, he's and then once a friend says yes, they'll never listen to you. Back in the days, the brother and the father had a final say with no, this one. Relationships were arranged. Arranged marriages were the best. And the people will say choice. You don't have a choice because you are choosing according to the size of the pocket. And the size of the pocket gives you access to a certain level. If I'm a multimillionaire, the type of women I'm exposed to are not these ones. In the lower ranks. So it's not a choice. It's type of wallet that you have. Your woman is a reflection of your wallet. So marriages, they are arranged, and marriage is a partnership. It's what you bring. But now beyond transaction, it's becoming prostitution. It's what can you do for me? Who buy me this? Who at time? Who take me out? Who buy me a gift? The next thing you're banging. You're banging. The second date, even the first date you're banging. You bring flowers, nyana. Women, they've betrayed. What's supposed to be valued? What cannot be repeated? Cannot be retained twice. Later say, I know my worth. So weird. You know your worth after you've been pierced by losers. You know your worth once you're done. And then you ask a person, what is it that you give me that you haven't given to other men? Men who are lesser than me. Nothing. You say, okay, you're a princess. You know your worth. What is your worth? I don't want your money. Tina, guys, you don't want your money. We want to provide, because once a woman provides, you're taking that role away from me, and then I become useless. Tina, we like it, even when you're driving cars. But I know the direction. That's why we don't ask for directions as men. Let's pay people. Why am I busy? Because I am the king. How can the king ask for direction to a peasant? I'll say, no, I think I know. We'll get lost, but we'll find it. And I feel great, which I found it without help. So once a woman starts doing all those things, a woman gives you a card with pattern, you might do that for a short space of time, but there's shame to it. You know, guys, we value certain things. Honor, slaying the dragon. Even when you shake hands to your contract, once you move away from that contract, there's shame. There's disrespect. We don't value you. But women, it's like, oh, 20 years of marriage gone because of a feeling. I'm no longer happy here. And then happiness fluctuates. Next day you're happy. We don't build the world based on happiness. Otherwise, if we did certain jobs because we're happy, there will be no progress, there will be no civilization. Alexander, the Greek, took men to wars, about King Arthur, Shaka Zulu, because they were not happy all the time. At some point, they'll go to terrain which are not conducive, going to Lesotho, snowy mountains, to go to Mushweshwe. I heard that Mushweshwe was never defeated by whites. How can they defeat you if you're running away? Of course, you cannot be defeated if you go into Tower Sea and on top of the mountain and you roll back down the stones. You can't be defeated, but you can be starved. That's why you could be surrounded by them Senegazis or the Shagas, and they say, what you say now? He says, okay, take the cows, leave us alone. But anyway, that's me digressing. But it is like that. Nowadays it's like, it's quite sad because of the Sims. And the Sims, they've created this thing of feminism. People thinking that, I'm sexually liberated. In whose benefit? Once a woman says I'm sexually liberated, you're just prey. Once a woman saying, you know what, I can choose men, or I want to have multiple sex partners or whatever, it's liberty. You're not liberty. It's like a springbok going to lions and saying, why not? They want to chow you. And then you're making it easy for men. So this is where we find ourselves. So
okay, that's the problem. They are happy to be chowed. They are happy to be exploited.
For now. They don't, but eventually it catches up with them. Check about Vivica Fox. Vivica Fox now is probably chasing 60. Once a man. I mean, a man to do what? All along, we free. About Harry Bailey. They're naked on social media. When they get to their 40s, they get naked. About Nadia, about all these influencers, when they get to their 40s, they start taking off their clothes and they start competing with these younger ones. And one thing that I like about women, I still attract younger children. Some I ignore them. 28, 29, 30, I attract them. Some I tell them, baby, young, but I don't care. And they get jealous because they realize, the clock, the machine, the guy, the dad. And they say, oh, how old is this child? They'll ask, how old is the child, Ike? She's a woman. She's 27. Ooh, because they realize that they can no longer go back because the woman's value, it's her femininity and her sexuality. Because she didn't, beg so many bodies and the fertility act. Once you're no longer fertile, what is it that you bring to the table? What is it that you bring? Can't give me a child, you've been hammered by useless guy. What is your value? Because your value comes because, like God said in the Bible, Zalalani Nande, expand, spread. How can it be that you're a billionaire, you accumulate all these things, and then you don't have children? Nowadays, they don't want children. They want to post on social media. Why? Those who have children, they've had children with losers. Guys that they thought they're hot. Gorillas. And then they're going to force you to accept their children. And then they must deal with this guy because this guy is in her life forever. So this is where we find ourselves. And as a guy, I normally tell guys, but when your clock, you get better with time because you acquire value. Women, they're born with value. It's for them to preserve it. They lose it with time. We acquire it. We work towards it. Of course, there are those guys who are having issues, infertility or whatever. But you can solve it. Once you've got money, you can solve it. There's certain things that you cannot reverse. That's why even in modeling, when I was still a model, modeling is dead. Women were available. I came, because I come from a different culture. I thought it was exploitation. They said, no, female models are valued when they are 16, 17. I remember we did I was a model of the year. I was one of the finalists. Maybe if I'm model one, with 20 models. I would give a C2. 1994, 95. There was another lady who won. I think it was Tanya for or whatever. Once you've won, you become a supermodel. A friend of mine, Richard Factory, was also there. He won. He's good looking. And I remember one photographer says, no, he's old. He's in the 20s. Guys, they got value as their hair became whiter, modeling, as they were getting more wrinkles. That's why all the models, they earned more. That's why you find about, who's this guy who advertised in Nescafe? George Clooney. He's more available now than he was back in the days. Even Morgan Freeman became better now. With time, with white hair, with there's so many actors, like that. And then they get jealous, they want to compete, and they realize that they cannot compete with that. So I tell guys, don't worry, make money like dust. You'll get to a point where you're okay, you're now choosing, they now come to you. I still attract me, young kids. Now, I say, don't look at me. Some big and I'm Puma game, but you know what? Yeah, okay, you meet the criteria or not. I've never struggled in that department, for ages. I've never struggled, even in my 20s. There's never been a day where I was not hot. There's never been a day when I'm hot differently now. Yeah, so it is what it is. But going back to politics, I said that I just wish the black people will take their lives seriously. Their country is going. It's going, but for a song. It's no longer sold to the highest bidder. They're also selling to the lowest bidder. Until now we're busy. I'm not saying people must not play. Once in a while, do a dance challenge. As they say, there will always be problems. But it doesn't mean we mustn't party. But we party, forever. The only thing that we know is alcohol. Have you ever seen a Nigerian drunk in the streets, smoking yaupe? I've never seen an Indian. I've never seen other nationalities. I normally say that we encourage nonsense. I check on social media. All the guys who are famous. Guys are teams all the guys who are now celebrities. Look, social media is good because it broke the monopoly of the industries. People who thought that there'll be gods forever, go media, go record companies, go record companies, thinking they'll exploit girls. So social media opened up, a gateway. But that's what happens. If there are no parents, the children, they misbehave. I mean, we started promoting nonsense. Check all the people who are popular, go social media, go TikTok, go take a leg. I know the original take a leg. Talented, take a leg. Not this nonsense. This guy is retarded. He must be confined to a mental institution until he's fine and lose weight. No, there's another guy about to take a leg. I think we'll be able somewhere. You're talking about, what is common? The guy is mentally retarded. He needs to be protected. There's so many. We promote. Zotaband is not even at school, I know girls like that. They were failing every test, 0 out of 50. But when the teacher is not there, they talk about sex. They tell other girls, oh, we went to this party and this. I was Zotaband. And I don't know Kanye because Kanye is very brilliant. He's a sharp mind. Kanye is sharp, intelligent. It's a whole face. Because now we're promoting this prostitution, the whole face. Kim Kardashian. Beyonce started with the nonsense. All the single ladies, all the ladies making money. You don't hear other nationalities, all the ladies making money. You don't hear whites, feminists fighting their own. Indian feminists fighting their own. Jewish feminists fighting their own. Calling their own toxic masculinity, misogyny, white men are trash. You never hear that. Even though the white man created everything. It's a white man's world. Tonight we are also victims. We are victims of the system. We are also victims of our own doing. Sometimes because it's nobody who will retarded because we like these guys who are exploiting us. So this is where we find ourselves. Turkeys must take themselves seriously and act accordingly, like other nationalities. Ethiopians, smaller, they support each other. They don't even buy their food. Somebody goes to Spaza shop. This guy, there'll be coke, in the Spaza shops. Guess where he goes? I've seen them, I buy Woolworths and buy coke because they know they're feeding us poison. They don't do that. Mozambique, they support each other. Zimbabweans, they're supporting each other. They're here to displace us, like all foreigners, be it Greeks. You don't find the Zulu mafia. You'll find the Cyprus mafia, Jewish mafia, Colombian mafia, Mexican mafias. They're here. It's our, our case, Baba. You'll find them. You don't find petty mafias, but they're there. Teenager, we are just, I don't know.
Where's the future ended there? It's no education, no way out.
You see now, I normally say this. A person who's living now, post-millennia or post, Y2K, is better off than someone who's living in the 1300s. If you lived in the 1300s, you could have been a slave. Nowadays, you've got the phone, you've got the access. I used to say that before the invention of social media, I said when you're in Gauteng, there were more than 7 PSL teams. There were studios, there were schools, Go Funda Center. You could be whatever that you want. You could ride a bicycle. There was exposure. There was SAPC. There was Soweto Community Radio. The Voice of Soweto. There was YFM coming. So everything, Goma cities, now it's even better. All in one phone. But you're not exploiting this. I heard with the other nationalities, Chinese, their TikTok is different from ours. The algorithm is different from ours. They are watching things that they need to watch so that they can become better. The same argument I've made. With we don't adjust. We are crying forever, talking like it's 1960. The dictatorship of the proletariat, the scientific socialism. It's all good to talk like that. But now, if you're talking the working class must win over, the peasants. Who are the working class now? Zimbabweans. So we're talking like that instead of saying, what is it that we can do? Look at initiation school. People say, no, you're not, part of that because, you're Zulu. I'm no longer Zulu. Even if I was Zulu, it doesn't mean Uguti. I need to be a professor to comment about education. I need to have a political science PhD to talk about politics, even though it affects me. I need to be a doctor to talk about medicine, even though I saw Uguti. COVID was nonsense. Otherwise, no one will talk. You'll say, I bought this car is not performing. I'll say, no, shut up. You're not a chief engineer at BMW, then you must not comment. So no one will speak. Hey, I bought a house, there are leakages. Listen, you're not an architect, you're not a builder, you must shut up. People want to shut you because you're raising valid point. I said, if we've got initiation schools, other nationalities, they're learning. You'll never find Jewish kids being stranded. They know where to go. Other nationalities. I studied with Indian kids. I asked them, where's your CV? He says, no, I don't need a CV. Go work for my father. There's a structure there. Tina, we've got initiation schools. I hear with some time but most of our kings now, they're not clued up. I'm an ice boy, I'm a politicians. Even politicians, they have no interest. How beautiful would it be if there are initiation schools, maybe in Eastern Cape, Govenda, in other regions? As a matter of fact, with the people who went to initiation schools, they specialize in this field, which is critical in the economy. Even if it's sports, we know, you know what, these guys, Mama Puma Lapa, they are good boxers. We've got 15 world champions, and these world champions are contributing economy. Oh, these guys, Mama Puma Lapa, good at initiation schools. You know, they went on to graduate. Effort here. But you know, a certain critical skills. And Pumalanga the same. But no, it's some Pumalanga. You know, if you go to initiation school in Pumalanga, they will teach you how to farm. You know, how to look after livestock. It's a Eastern Cape. But you've got gender-based violence is still high. Rape is still high. Then you say 15 million people up to, you know, this year, from that year have been to the initiation school. Where does it filter through? Where is the, you know, impact of that? Getting worse. So, you know, we're doing things that are useless. Things that's going to impact. You find people fighting, arguing about things that don't matter. I was looking in social media now. Somebody was, you know, posting something weird, elderly person, but he was asking about who's got more money between this influencer and that influencer. I said, that is crazy. I think he was asking about who's got more money between the coffee and Trevor now. I said, how does it help you? You know, there's information. So now we incubate useless information. That's why I have moved away from these books. I used to read books. I've read almost every book. I read other people's biographies now because I want to know what makes this person tick. You know, what makes this person tick. You know, how did he overcome his easy? Then I can identify. I've read the struggle of Japan. I've read about the Hans, you know, Hungarian people. I've read about the Benson type because I was interested in the school. We're not allowed to do history. I read about the Vikings. I've read about the Mayan Empire, the Egyptians, you know, the Assyrians. I've read everything, the economy, what they ate. But as black people, we like intellectual masturbation. Don't you know that we're the first in the, you know, planet Jupiter, there are pyramids, and then what? Like about Dr. King Kong consciousness. The next thing, hit the cash app, PayPal. We are abused. And then we take that. Even our celebrities, I mean, wherever I go, there are people who know me from my modeling years, acting years. They ask, can I take a picture? They become surprised because, Ike, you know, I thought you'd be hostile. Because they see this person. I'm a very nice guy. I used to be in national organizer, legal desk of the musician and actors union. We'll go, you know, tours. I'll force these guys, but please, can you greet people? These are your celebrities, people who love you, buy your music, they watch you on TV. Greet people. It doesn't cost you anything. We made it. Hey, there's so many guys. You, to greet them, they will not respond. I remember at some point, you know, we fought for Abomzuni's and Nsizwa, with Bachelor royalties. They got them. Abomzuni and Nsizwa, they got them royalties. Royalties that could buy houses. They bought cars, you know, SUVs. Sometimes people will say, no, we're not paid. They're like, yesteryear soccer players. They earn more than an average person. I remember I was shocked one day. You know, I was working in Small. I greeted one actor. Unfortunately, I don't think he's still alive. You know, answer back. But that's my experience. I greeted Mkizi. Yes, sis. Yes, sis. Yes, sis. I regretted. This is the person in the office that came. We're fighting about SABC. I'm a royalties, I'm a repeats. You know, it didn't greet me. I went to him, I said, listen, this man. You know, the guys are window shopping. About 7. You know, he did this. I thought he was joking. I greeted Johnny Clegg. He passed me like I did not exist. That's why I don't play anything with Johnny Clegg. I used to like it. I don't play anything. I deleted everything with Johnny Clegg. So many of them, these are people based in Apayel and they powers Kolum. One day, I was sitting front seat, invited by Nagede Ribani. He jumped me. He greeted Umbet, was a national speaker then. Banegambet. He greeted everybody. Magafika him on jump. Like to a friend of mine who pushed in Oponi. One day, Bantola Bukeno, seated C7. I'm not saying this to demonize them, but I'm just saying, you know, as an example, celebrities versus South Africa, they're nonsensical. You know, I understand people sometimes, you know, yeah, they can be too much, but you lose nothing by greeting people because you don't know.